He knows that we can't change the world drinking coffee in our socks, but he'll ask you to ponder, encourage you to wander, and buy you a drink on the rocks.
Today we're here with Jamie Mixon of No Fat Birthdays.
Yep.
And it's great to have you on Inspired Path.
Thanks for having me.
You know, we met a few years ago, I think, during our 52 Weeks of Fitness program.
Sure, I think we both had more hair. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, we did. Yes, we did. It's mine's thinned out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
You are so passionate about fitness. I mean, how did you get into it? It just didn't start a couple years ago for you.
No, it didn't. The becoming a full-time fitness professional, I prefer that term over trainer, took me a little time, a little effort. I was a kid riding a skateboard, and I just never stopped. Took a skateboard and BMX bike, and now I'm full-blown cyclist. So the idea of being out and about and active is really second nature for me. Almost, it's like breathing. It's what I need to do. Later in my corporate life, I kind of stumbled into it. I was doing the highbrow brands, P90X and Insanity and Jillian Michaels while living in LA. I actually got to take the classes with them, so that was cool. But kind of mid-90s, when it became a full-blown mushroom cloud, a lot of us moved from participants to practitioners, and we realized that CrossFit was taking off at the same time. So who knew that exercise could be a prosperous career? So I kind of stumbled in by accident, and I'm glad I did. So I got up, scuffed off my knees, and we've been running ever since.
Now, you mentioned out in LA. Is that where you got started with all of this as you grew up?
Well, I'm from bit of a gypsy. I'm from Philadelphia on the East Coast, but I wanted to live, where dreams lived in LA. So I was there for some years. It was where everybody does that. It wasn't even so much that I've never been out of shape. That's a odd thing for a fitness person, because that's become a bit of the norm. The biggest loser of it all. I lost 150 pounds. Now I'm the authority. We do forget that Bruce, now Caitlyn Jenner, was the fittest person in the world at some point. So we moved away from the idea of consistency. That's probably a slap in the face to the many of us that have decided to keep running, jumping, skipping for a lifetime. And it's been morphed into I've reclaimed my health. Now I'm the authority. So yeah, I started as a kid and kept going and never really looked back.
What brought you to Cleveland?
This is my wife's hometown. So, and economically, it's cheaper to live here. I mean, Cleveland's a good thing, definitely for that, and the cost of housing, than it is to live on the West Coast. So we made a on paper decision that it was, kind of more safer and saner to raise a family in middle America than sunny 85 degrees Super Bowl day in LA.
Yeah, I can see the sun's peeking through a little bit here on a gray sky day, and
almost 18 degrees out there. Yes,
That's right. Here you do have people more than likely bring that as an excuse to working out.
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's snowing out.
Mm-hmm. That's huge for the Rust Belt, this whole part of the country. Seasonal depression, huge. With the onset of our pandemic, it's making it even worse for individuals to stimulate themselves towards self-improvement, because as Netflix makes cool new movies every week, it's hard to decide that I'm going to pursue better for myself when I can just be average. It sounds like an insult, but I'm not insulting people, but it's okay to be average, because that's what our leaders give us, just fit in.
Right. There is not a lot of talk about strengthening your immune system or eating healthy or any of that.
Sadly not. Well, McDonald's has a plant-based burger now, so we'll see how that goes. But they're major corporations, so I see the excuse me, I respect the marketing target. However, we'll see where it goes. And yeah, we don't have a lot of strong narrative about eating to be healthy, or the truth that your body must be in motion. Whereas it is in other countries, it's a lifestyle. Almost expected that you as a human will do things to help yourself.
No, I think we've gotten so far away from that, and we sit behind desks or, we work jobs where very little mobility is expected, and then people think that that's going to keep them healthy.
Yeah, it's tough. Sorry. But the bulk of my clientele are moms. I've got a 35 to 54 demographic, 2 kids, a cat, a dog, and a SUV. That is most of the women that do group fitness. And after getting to know people, you realize they're the 4th or 5th person in their own life. You got kids, you got a guy, maybe you got a job, you got expenses, and there's somewhere down the line, if you've got any breath left, you take care of yourself. And in those many conversations, you build data points to realize that the job is unfortunately killing people. And I don't mean it literally, but it is definitely diminishing the shine of being better at whatever you are and however you are. Worse now, we do it from home. So you're a prisoner in your house. It sounded very romantic in the beginning. I don't have to go to work anymore. I can just hang out at the house in pajamas, and you realize that all you do now is hang out the house in pajamas. So that adds to the further crumbling of the opportunity, and I'm going to take better care of myself. So it's a really tricky puzzle, to figure out what we're going to do moving forward.
No, I think it really is, because there is something about the energy to being involved in a group class and being out. There's also the accountability piece.
Yes. Yeah. I think that the technology of Peloton, Tonal, which is the mirror thing, is amazing. It's amazing that we can do that. However, and their data points are showing now that the isolation still takes away from the human experience. Yep, you can get it in at the house, and you can hopefully not trip over your dog or your cat. You can push pause on that video. That was the tricky part about the DVD boom in fitness. Yes, we can all have a 16-week program for $20 in your house, but you have to be self-stimulated to do it, to continue doing it. So fitness is just another faith walk. You have to have some level of faith that you can endure and see what you'll never see until sometime later. So that's what becomes tricky about it.
So the name, how'd you come up with No Fat Birthdays? NFB.
NFB now. So we rebranded based on Billions. I love the TV show. X Capital. So I liked it, and I kind of stole the concept. But when I brought it together, I was living on the West Coast. One of my first clients was a news reporter, won't name her, but we were in Manhattan Beach, California. There's a big sand dune, beautiful. If you ever get to see it, it's kind of awesome. She was tracking me, following me up the hill, and I turned around. I knew her birthday was in a couple of days. So I said, come on, you don't want to be fat on your birthday. She clearly wasn't fat. She's a newscaster. And I said so in jest, as no offense to her or anybody. So the next day, her birthday, she called me and said, hey, Jamie, no fat birthdays. I'm thinking, okay. So, we teased that for a couple of days, and I said, what's the worst that can happen? So I put it out there. Initially, 12 years or so ago, I got really beat down on the internet for that, because people zeroed in on the word fat, as if I'm calling people fat, and they didn't see the bigger picture of how we massaged it out to mean that, well, if your birthday is supposed to be a great day in your life, right? We're gonna have a great birthday, hopefully, and so if we span it out to the days, weeks, months, hours, seconds before your birthday, we're never going to be fat on your birthday or any other day. It's morphed into more of an umbrella term. Let's include your birthday as a great day in your life, and hopefully nothing goes wrong. So that's where the name came from.
No, that's it.
So,
I knew it just didn't come from a marketing standpoint of coming up with it.
No, let's make up a new word.
No, but you're right. I mean, and the story behind it, when you think about it, that many days leading up to your birthday, it's a lifestyle.
Yes,
is what you're creating.
Yeah, and per name recognition, as I mentioned, I've been chided a few times for it, unless those are willing to understand why we was chosen this group of words to pursue fitness. And I didn't necessarily, in the beginning, was just no fat birthdays. There was no word fitness. I didn't want to be another shoe store. Wanted something that was intensely left brain, back to Joe Boxer guy, from marketing. His stuff was really provocative, really in your face, but it worked well because it took the normal expectation of his product and turn it on its head and drew people in. So I weathered a couple internet, attacks, and we're still here, so hopefully we'll continue to be here. So
sometimes those can be a boost for marketing.
They can,
could be controversial, but
it's like, geez,
it can get you noticed a little more there.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, 3 years ago, you were diagnosed with MS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how did that all come about? Because for people watching this, until I said it now,
no way,
no way.
These are my legs.
That's
I
right.
can use them
Exactly.
So, by accident, growing up an athlete also has its toxicities. Male, toxicity is horrible for youth athletics. And I grew up one of those kids. You run, jump, skip. We are expected to work through the pain. So I'm confident whatever led up to a full-blown diagnosis of multiple sclerosis in my body had been there for some time. So because as athletes, we're trained and tuned to, just work through it, just do this and do that. For me, being significantly fit, now at 51, it was just unusual pains that didn't have a why. I didn't fall down, I didn't hit my head, I didn't do anything abnormal leading me to anguish. So ultimately, the diagnosis is spinal tap. It is not fun, but there's a needle in your spine and they pull out this wonderful fluid in there to tell you everything about yourself but your credit score. And that's pretty much how we knew. From there, there was a litany of tests and drugs. The scare is you become part of the cancer community. You now have a terminal disease. But bigger picture from terminal, not meaning deathly, it'll just be with you forever. So there was a lot, again, as an athlete, to accept that there could potentially be new limits in my life. As friend, you saw me go through. I was very transparent about it because, there's fear. In the beginning, I'm thinking, okay, this doctor's telling me I might not walk, I might not talk, I might not do things I take very lovingly as my own at this point. So I waged war. I went the other way instead of immersing myself in pity. We fought, and just a handful of years later, I'm good. I'm really good. So, and here we are. Yeah.
Right. So because I think a lot of people struggle with, if you take a look at, the average person is not sitting here, in your studio right now. But if you go out and walk in a mall across America or take a cross section of America, we're at a point where diabetes is so high, heart issues are so high, and it's, the weight issues are so much, and, it's so overwhelming. You were obviously your own advocate.
Sure.
So when you decided, you obviously owned up, took responsibility, and said, well, this is not where I wished I was, but I'm going to do something about it.
Sure.
What are some of the steps that, you took in the beginning?
I'm a guy. We cried about it. There was fear. There was legitimate fear. A fear of recovery. So you must accept where we are to get where you're going. So I didn't want to sell a bunch of art of war, slogans if I wasn't willing to embrace it. I didn't want every now and then throw some Jim Rome out there if I wasn't going to say, okay, me too. So you got to get naked. You got to be super transparent about where you are and what you're willing to do. Hardest decision to make was not to take the drugs, not to take the traditional medication for this. And as a scientist, that's my background. I got a degree in chemistry. Blaring red light kept going on with me. I took for about a year I took an infusible drug, but the train stop sign was breast cancer. It's like, well, 30% of all people that'll take this will develop breast cancer. I'm thinking, all right, I'm not going to do that. So we went very holistic. My wife and my friends and some people around me, I became vegan for a while. I've reintroduced bacon to my life, but it was very immersive into regrowing myself as a plant, as a tree. Okay, we've got to fertilize the soil. We have to give it some sunlight. We've got to make sure it germinates, in a healthy way. Unfortunately, the need and information is buried. It's there for all of us, but you have to really get under the surface to understand that your body, by and large, will heal itself to the best of its ability. Yes, we have to deal with any injuries that will come on, but by boosting our immune system, doing our best to reduce stresses, unnatural stress, resting more. I forced myself to sleep more. I was running on 4 hours a day. I can do it, but I realized that I needed to allow the system to start over. I'd book a room in a hotel, not to, doing nothing, but just hanging out. How can I do nothing? I watch Flintstone cartoons all day. How 6-year-old can I make this to, force myself into submission as a regeneration into what I need to do. Once we were at the Lincoln West, and I was sore. We had the boys there, but I worked through it. I think you could see it. I was
Yes.
whooped, but I had committed to show up for them, and I didn't want to cheapen the experience at all. And since then, kept going, and I don't know that there's a magic pill. Definitely part crazy, creative, and passion to get there. I just knew for me that I was not going to be a victim. Since then, I do my best to talk to anybody. I get random phone calls now from people. Hey, my cousin has MS. Can they talk to you? Sure, but are they open to, being open? That's the hard part. You've got to crack a hole in your head and, decide that I'm going to fight, to be best I am. And here we are. So that's my ta-da about it all. Yeah.
That's what it's about. I think first of all, you're right. You mentioned you have to be open.
Yep.
And then you have to be willing to put in the time as your own advocate, and the information is out there. There's probably been no better time in our lives that the information's accessible. We're not going to the public library and looking at periodicals. The information's there, but you have to do the work.
Yeah. And I openly admit it was a painful process. Standing up was hard at points because I had no idea, what's happening. And my self-entitlement assumed that, well, I'm super fit. It can't happen to me. But guess what? Once you in something, you have to accept it. So I'm thinking, okay, I think I'm probably the right guy for this. I couldn't imagine a chain smoker, a Taco Bell person all the time that lives a poor life coming down with such a situation because it was grueling at points.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but okay.
I think too what you mentioned about a little bit about foods and what you're putting in your body. I mean that in itself. I think we've gotten so far away from real plants, and even when you talk meats that aren't laced with chemicals in the food and everything else. How did you get back to simplifying the?
There was an action plan, but it wasn't in play. I just jumped in. I went and bought a bunch of oranges and grapefruit and lime. Any citrus fruit I could get, I bought it. I bought it. I probably burned a layer of, my gums out for a while. I'd eat, 4 or 5 oranges a day and a grapefruit, and I drink lime juice to super boost the immune system. There's a physician, her name's Brooke Goldner, and she's now famous for re-engineering her system away from lupus. So there's no longer lupus in her system based on her science of hypernutrition. So if you inundate the system with goodness, it will by and large help itself. In that, I can't discredit Western medicine. It definitely has its place. But we all don't need to be, pin cushions for guesswork.
No, you're absolutely right about that. And you're right. The alternative is to be a lifetime customer.
Yes, big time.
With your pills expanding in your medicine cabinet, or get closer to putting real food, high nutritional foods in your body.
It's a tough conversation to have, as social media friends, as we are. I put a bunch of blurbies out there to people to eat food with no ingredients. That became an interesting conversation. I think I'll post that again. Eat food with no ingredients. We don't really understand that because we're so used to getting food in pretty boxes, right? Everything is boxed up, and I'm like, but if your broccoli's got nothing in it, and your chicken breasts and your shrimp have nothing in it, those are food with no ingredients. But however, we can run to any grocery store, any corner store, any Chipotle type place and get food that is delicious, laden with preservative and extra. So if we strip all that down to its essence, it's better for us. What we get lost in is the immediate gratification, the Amazon of it all. You just push a button and it's going to Jetsons, right? It was long thing. It's going to push this button. It's going to bring it to me. We didn't really look at the damage that the microwave age has done to life, and it's going to continue to.
No, absolutely. Mm-hmm. What do you think, even for someone that's not dealing with something as severe as MS? What do you think some of the how do you overcome some of those initial barriers to everyone will be like, it takes too long to prep food?
Is a lie. Because at any Chick-fil-A, you'll wait in line for 45 minutes for processed nuggets. We have to, again, allow it. You got to, accept that I need to do something. It's somehow simpler to get in your car on a cold day, drive 20 minutes, wait in line to get a table or whatever, order your food, give somebody money. It's taking more time to do that than to build something that you knew is organic and healthy for you. We can totally become our own lean cuisine. You got the Tupperware, everybody's got some Tupperware or whatever product in the house to do it. Definitely, Andy, it's the inability for people to do things for themselves. And it's hard to just blankly call people lazy, but we're just not I'm using the word stimulated to do the things to get us where we're going. It's a really easy process, And the beauty of it as also enhancements from a nutritional standpoint are on the market, protein shakes, smoothies, whatever, pills. You can get chicken and broccoli pretty much anywhere. It doesn't matter where you can go. You can get these very simple things, green beans, I don't know, whatever you can. There were 20 different kinds of green beans. So whatever you like, it's doable. It's just that willingness to go after it. And we, by and large, aren't willing to do that too often.
And time frame, I think once people get into, for you preparing your foods, you had a dish online where I think you prepared some, you had some eggs and some peppers and some spinach in there, and that's very rich and dense as far as nutrients.
Yep. Took 20 minutes. The hardest part was cutting up, a couple of peppers and not cutting my finger. That was the hard part. But we can show everybody that there's water 3 miles away, but are they willing to go look at it? So it's still hard to usher, the many that need, the genius that we offer, to the water. It's sitting right there, people. Just go get it. Just try. I'm not the only one. There are a lot of practitioners that will give you a recipe for success, but we also know that you can, social media, you can tell everybody the secret to success, how to buy rental properties, but 99% of the people will never use the information, which is kind of asinine almost. Like, I'm telling you exactly what you need to do, but it's going to be over here, somebody over here is going to sell you a pill and you'll buy that instead. So it's a bit frustrating. But we must persist. That's why we're here, because we want to keep people trying at least.
What I noticed about, you is you thrive on empowering people. Seeing that progress, seeing their lives change. My favorite client, sorry ladies, 73-year-old man. I've been training him for some years. He's been through prostate cancer. He no longer has high blood pressure or diabetes. His depression way down, and at 73, still going, because there was a willingness to accept that I need to do things to better my life. Hopefully now we can get to the point where parents are infecting their children, so we might not have a generation that's going to grow up with diabetes and high blood pressure, and teenagers are getting heart failure and all these other fun things long before organically expected.
So yes, that's a celebration. Is those teary cry phone calls. It's not the money. I'm glad I can make an income at this, but it is that that ability to kind of walk with somebody on their journey and pull them back into more life. That's my elevator pitch. Once asked, I was at a symposium and said, "What do you do?" I said, "I sell life." And I don't know if there was an answer for that, but it's true. Anybody that's in this type of businesses, we add life to people's lives. So that's the goodness for me. Is able to, like the young lady you saw, same. You wouldn't expect that a super fit person had a tragic story 3-4 years ago, but guess what? I jumped in and reclaimed, my person. So that's what makes it fun for me.
Can you talk about, do you have any secrets as far as like how to break down some of the barriers or excuses that people create? I mean, there's sometimes where I feel like you just got to be in their face and be like, this is the reality of it. You got to own up to it. But there's every excuse in the world that people come up with.
I mean, for me, I've got all of my clients' credit card numbers. So guess what? You're going to pay. No, it's so hard, and it's so easy not to want to do this. We can only deal with people when they're ready to show up, and that's the hard part. There are thousands, millions of people that should take advantage of a wealth of knowledge that unfortunately operates outside of traditional medicine. Hopefully, in the next generation, that medicine will fold athleticism and fitness into the fold, and we're not some odd cousin that you don't see very often or you don't appreciate on the same level as part of the team. Motivating people, I can't motivate you. You can't motivate me. We can cheer for each other. We can definitely offer tools of progress, but it's an inside job for everybody. You gotta want to get up. You gotta want to do this before the ambulance shows up at your house. So definitely, as we all age and mature, your feet, knees, your shoulders, your head don't work as efficiently as they did 25 years ago. That doesn't mean everything is wrong. That just means you have to put more effort into it. Self-esteem on people is really low. Self-love is really bad. Some people, lady was here some time ago. She doesn't train with us anymore, but her issue is like, I can't look myself in the face. That's bad. That's super bad. And there's nothing we can really do to help somebody other than hug, cheer, show them that people care and more than you care, and we want you to care too about you. So all we can really do is keep adding moisture to their soil, and hopefully that'll help people decide that they want better. I get a lot of people to show up with diabetes. Disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor, but it's shown if an overweight person loses 25, 30, 40 pounds, that marker is so low that diabetes is not identifiable anymore. That's a no-brainer for me. If you tell me I've got to kick my butt for 6 months and I don't have this anymore, let's do it. And I took that same approach with multiple sclerosis and how we can fight a great fight to get where we're going. We're roughly the same age. Brian Song, Gail Sayer, so generations of you have no idea what we're talking about, but Google it. But yeah, we just had odd people that were so willing to fight above and beyond normal. Hopefully now we should have more people that are willing to do that, and I like you hope that they will. And like I said, dealing with the children as you do, I sincerely hope that mom and dad, we're in the schools, which is awesome, that the kids are going home and tell parents, and parents are executing those plans. Usually a 12-year-old doesn't have money if mom and dad are going to buy more carrots or more fish and stuff like that.
Right. No, I mean, and what I kind of like in it too is that, you can pay now or you can pay later. And, and for people that don't understand what that is, you can, we're all about, we can go out and spend, $5 for some coffee drink.
Yep.
But as soon as you say, hey, it's going to be $5 or $6 for this organic, fresh squeezed juice, you're like, what?
Yeah, because I can buy 2 gallons for $2.
Exactly, because I can buy 2 gallons of processed stuff that's not even juice for a couple bucks.
Yeah.
And you know, but what I liken is people work and they save their entire life, and then I'll lump all the healthcare in as one thing and just say they're all waiting for you because they're in business to make money, and they're all sitting there. Hey, bring all that retirement 401k to me. Now you can start paying me, and then you're paying just to maintain a little quality of life that you have left.
Sure.
So I think a lot of it's turned people to, be able to see the value in spending the money now for the quality of life you're going to lead later.
Yeah. The cool adage for what you said, pay now, pay later, is like you either pay the farmer or you pay the pharmacist. That's kind of.
I like it.
Yeah, you're going to one or the other. The urgency is not there for a lot of people. We're seeing some seniors move more because they realize that there's moss growing on their feet. 25-year-olds don't care. It's usually about 40, 45. You realize that I'm not the cutest, coolest, anymore. So I've got to do something. Still, the American culture is the Hakuna Matata. Do whatever you want to do, as opposed to, go somewhere to be somewhere. Consistently, parents aren't showing great examples. Frustrating, kind of, for sporting events. Once when my youngest was in high school, middle school, so she was playing softball. Since I've started this, and I would give all the moms sitting there in my car. And one Saturday we were at her softball game. I started walking around the field, and when I was done, a couple of ladies like, "Why do you do that?" Well, I can still see my child. She knows I'm here. Why not multiply the effort? Because instead of just throwing money at your kid, prove that you're not just supporting the effort, but you're on board, and they get to see you going, because it's cruel. I mean, sports are ridiculous with kids now. There's parents pumping money into them, but are they seeing good examples? What are you giving them other than high expectation? We expect the kid that can throw a football, half a block to be a great football player. But if the parents are obese, where's the real story here? You're stealing your kid's joy. You're wanting him to be what you did not. So it's a slippery slope there.
But no, I do see what you're saying as far as people don't see that now. They're not looking down the road unless you're dealing with an elderly parent or someone that physically is not in good condition. And it's interesting that some of the people that I've run across in the yoga community that are older will say, "Oh, I wish I would have started practicing yoga when I was 30, 40 years old, because now I'm hunched over."
Yep.
I notice you incorporate a wide range.
Yeah.
I know you practice yoga, but I know you do strength.
In weight loss, any fitness place, traditional fitness place, is about weight loss. Everybody comes, "Hey, make my butt look better." Sure, I can help you do that. But there are a bunch of other things, because they assume it's a one-dimensional thing. Studies in the science will show that we need strength as we age. So I kind of throw some strength training at my clientele or whomever is willing to listen. I needed more of it when I was, going through the MS recovery for my own knee. Definitely, as my own primary sport is cycling, so I needed to maintain my strength and endurance to do that. We don't have a lot of yoga classes, and I can't mandate it either, but my most well-attended classes in the morning. I have a 9:30 Thursday yoga class, and the average age is 72.
Wow.
And they love it. It's a slow flow. It's a very restorative kind of practice. We spend most of the time on the floor, kind of working the spine. And same as you said, it was like, geez, I wish I'd have started this 50 years ago. But instead of further nailing that nail form into the ground, like, we're here now, so let's get the most out of it. Yoga was very humbling for me. I came to it at 21, 22. I had run quarter mile in college. I was racing cycling criteriums. I was living out west, and I just knew I was Superman. And somebody suggested I take a class, and You know, you think you're so strong until you're not. You know, it'll break your face. You know, it's like, because you have to be present. You know, whereas in a fitness realm, I can jump around like a crazy person for hours and not think about it. But if I'm in my, you know, half moon, I've got one leg up in the air and I'm turned to side, I've got to be right here, right now. And as we picked that up and realized that we had to go deeper inside to use that to, you know, heal and grow our person, I'm with you. I wish there were more of us that were open and welcome to a yoga practice.
I think there's still a lot of stigmas that go along with it. They're like, oh, I'm not flexible enough. I can't sit still.
And we're like, that's exactly why we do this. That's the whole point of it, you know. And I'm meeting moms where they are. I say, I've never done yoga. I say, have you had a child? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, you've done some yoga before. But a lot of it is also how it's been presented over many years. In any magazine, we're not trying to, you know, yoga for everybody. But it's been a 6-foot Swedish model thing. And okay, we got two guys talking about we do yoga all the time. Like, okay, what is this? You know, nobody would expect that. Our favorite athletes do yoga, but it's not marketed and promoted because there's no hyper masculinity to it. Nothing.
No, you're right. I mean, we were down at Lincoln West High School last week, and there was a teacher down there working with some of the kids, and she said this one boy refused to practice, said this isn't for him, blah blah. Well, the teacher got a little more involved with him and found out, you know, he's a basketball player, and his biggest, you know, star is LeBron.
Yes.
And so she pulled up LeBron's Instagram.
Oh, he didn't know.
And started to see the yoga that he was doing, and talked about, you know, balance and focus in the game and everything, and being present with the breath. Yeah. And now
he was like, oh, wow.
He's like, oh, light bulb went off. He could relate to it, and he's all about practicing.
Yeah. Yeah, good. But it's not marketed that, you know, hey, you should do this. It's let's, you know, push cars down the street all the time. Let's be as Crow-Molly as possible. We've moved away from the Marlboro Man, but we still got that personification as very American. So
right,
so it's
absolutely. Lost. You know, you mentioned in this last segment, you mentioned stuff about being present. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's a huge difficulty amongst people.
Yes.
Right now, phones in the face.
Yep.
Thinking about 5 emails and where they're driving to next, and
yeah, remember the 90s? You got mail? It was so exciting. It was like, okay, I got mail. So, you know, it's so many years later, it has its place in our lives, technology, but that too, there's so many elementary things that are complicated for people. You know, the food with no ingredients, slowing down, sleeping, be right here, right now. You know, we've got to. You ever go to a concert? I know we go to concerts and everybody's got their phone up. I'm like, no, I want to absorb the greatness that's happening for me. I don't care if they wanted to see it, they should have been here. I don't always understand that, why people would cheapen their own experience by needing to give it away. So, not sure how we teach that, or how we really groom people to kind of smell their air real time, you know. And just stand right where they are right now, because we're so fast forward ahead, or we're never here. We're then and we're later, but trying to get people to really be right here, right now. Other than arguing about COVID, you know, what else are we doing? Right.
No, and you mentioned it, looking through the lens. That was a movie out a number of years ago, this Life of Walter Mitty, and the photographer had been hunting down this snow lion, and this hard, elusive snow lion, and got it exactly in the camera frame, and then he didn't shoot the picture. And the other guy was like, well, why didn't you shoot the picture? He goes, sometimes I don't want the camera to come between me and the moment. Yeah. And you're right. That people's phones are out shooting pictures, thousands of pictures every day, and you may be walking in nature, but you're just looking through your phone.
Sure.
And not experiencing it.
Yeah. I had to retrain me too, because it becomes a third hand. It's an adage to go digital down sometime. It's hard when we have large social media following because you have to constantly feed the machine. Although learning to push back, that noise gets, insane at times. So you have to learn, if you've got any sense about you, to shut it down, shut it off. I will offer that joy to my audience as well. Turn your phone off. It's cringeworthy for some people because we're so connected to thinking I need to know everything. I'm best when I don't know anything. It's like, yes, okay. I'm a dad. I don't know. Oh, it's cool. Great. It's not going to cost me money. I love it. So.
No, I think I heard within sometime in the last few weeks, someone told me, if you're in business, you have to use social media. Mm-hmm. But that's what you should be doing. You should be using it and not letting it use you.
Oh, I like it.
And there's definitely a difference. Mm-hmm. Get involved in it, put the stuff you need to on it, and
back out.
Don't get sucked into it. Yeah, back out.
It is a challenge for all of us, that there's so much socio-political or cat videos. I mean, there's so many directions you can go there. Well, whatever your bizarrety, there's an avenue for you. So it's to be an adult and tell yourself no. Same in the fitness realm. We have to stand up for ourselves because of ourselves, and it's really challenging because as we go more into the metaverse, people will get more immersed in not being present. Zucks and the like is taking your reality away and telling you what it is. So that's going to be scary to see what happens next.
No, I watched his opening thing talk about, if you want mountains outside your window, you have mountains outside your window. Yeah. And part of me is like, if you want nature outside your window, walk through the door and get your ass out
there.
Go
outside, yeah. Yeah, it's bizarre, But I understand how provocative it could be. I mean, we all want a little escapism, but now do we need to escape our escape? It's so many levels to this new onion now.
Right.
We'll see.
Well, anything else you want to add? Anything you want to?
Man, we could talk for hours, of course.
I know.
But, he's got stuff to do. So, no, always a pleasure. I've always been honored, to work with the group. Like I said, you call, I'm there. It doesn't matter. I'll just show up. I'll blow these people off. Andy wants me, I'm there. And I appreciated what you guys done from the beginning, from the 52-week program. I've tried, and I still want to build some level of a collective for this community in fitness, regardless which genre it is or format, because locally it's such a gang faction. It's like I'm over here, they're over here. You can't take my stuff. Like, oh, if we were kids again, it was the more we stick together, the happier we'll be.
Oh yeah.
The 70s. See, you don't know about this.
That's
right. Yeah, it's the 70s, man. And
happy together.
Yes, happy together. So that's my hope that somewhere, somehow, soon, maybe I'll figure out a way to leverage all we know to bring some people together to grow this thing from something more than a hum to a raging rock concert somehow.
That's right. I mean, I think that's been the hardest quest, and getting that 90% or whatever the percentage is that isn't doing something for their life, and helping them to realize you don't have to jump into a point where you can't commit. If you make your barrier too high, like I'm going to spend 4 hours a day in the gym every day. Well, it's not realistic. You're not going to sustain it.
Nope.
But what could you build into your life? Maybe you get in a few times a week to group classes, and maybe after dinner every night you're out for a hike.
Sure.
Or walk around the neighborhood.
Sure. Definitely we overhumanize this. It should not be an act of Congress to take care of yourself, because that's really complex for most of us. I don't know. My take-home message is definitely I'm hoping that people will take better care of their immune system, work from the inside out, because we're surfing through a gray area right now with a situation that can attack anybody's body. So the better we're equipped from the inside, the better we can protect ourselves outside. So, really simple to eat an orange, really simple to do. It doesn't have to have vodka with it. So it's just the orange, some fruit. Something natural, and it'll help you. Little by little, we can do better. So.
No, I think you're right, especially with, we've been living in this virus situation for the last couple of years, and it's, and that's not going to go away.
Mm-mm.
And every flu season that comes around, it's the same thing with stuffs like that. But to me, if you're in a room full of people, wouldn't you want your immune system to be the best it could be?
Yeah.
The best, the most optimal health it could be in.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping so.
But I think that's what people have to step back and take a look at. The pharmaceutical, the hospitals, the food industry, these are all businesses.
Yes.
Their job is to
Huge
make
for
money.
profit. Yeah.
Make money from themselves, their shareholders.
Yeah.
They don't have you in the best
No,
interest.
not at all. And because I was on my way to be a high level user, I was like, no, I'm getting out of this. I can't. Sorry, I'm not doing it. And I had to run that risk. I was like, I'm not going to do it. And giving credit to Western medicine, if I ever needed to go backwards, great. But meanwhile, I'll be okay. I'll handle best I can. I'll live like a silverback gorilla. It's the strong. It can tear your face off, and it doesn't eat meat. So it's got to say something, right? The deer going through your yard that weighs 300 pounds doesn't eat meat. So there's so many. I mean, the clues are sitting right in front of us. We're inundated with double cheeseburgers, so I'll never see the sensibility of going natural. For that period when I was pseudo vegan. It was a freaky conversation to have with people. It's like, you're vegan? Like my hair grew different. It's like, how can you, where do you get protein from? And it ended up being like okay, let me put some crayons down here for you kids. And just explain that if we kill out the middleman, a sheep, a cow lives on grass, so let's kill the middleman. Or not kill them, let's remove the middleman. Let's do what they do. We pay more for extra steak that was it Yago, whatever whatever the expensive steak is, because they're vegan. Why don't we become vegan? Why don't I eat what he eats? So there are a handful of high level athletes that are vegan, but we are hard sold that we need a big slab of meat on your plate, from old westerns. You need a big piece of meat. But now you find out, looking a little deeper under the carpet, that there's more protein in broccoli and cauliflower than there is in steak. And like, oh wow, who knew? I thought I had to have a steak and potatoes and something else and a shot of Jack to be a man. No, not at all. So it was really how powerful beans are for your system. And getting beyond broccoli and cauliflower. Jackfruit, if we don't know what it is, super cool. I mean, it's just like one of the most awesome things. It looks like a big football if you haven't seen one.
Okay.
And they cut it into pieces, there's little pods inside of it. And the pod itself tastes like candy. I mean, it's like the coolest stuff. It's a nail later almost. And then you gut the thing, the actual jackfruit. I don't know who Jack and his fruit is, but it's called jackfruit. They boil it, steam it, and then if you saute that with onions and peppers, man, you wouldn't know you weren't having steak or chicken or whatever. As it turns out, the island people have been doing this for years, and in Asian cultures, it's a big thing. But here now, you can find it at anywhere, but it's so obscure that you're going to walk past the aloe vera plant sitting next to jackfruit. You never see it because it's not marketed and sent to people to have in their systems. So yeah, I've done a lot of investigating, by self-analysis, other things to do, because that's the biggest issue. People want to know, well, where do you get protein from? I'm thinking, same way the horses get it. Most animals don't. The dinosaurs were, other than one, were a herbivore. The biggest one, right? It was 20 feet tall. It lived on trees. So it's got to be something to it. Something.
Well, I think people don't realize there's local farmers all over the place. Yeah. You have to break out of this thing that this package is brightly colored and we think it's good for us, and
sure.
and go meet some people.
Sure.
Get out to those farmers markets. I know the season in Ohio is very short,
yeah.
but it's like they're producing stuff year round.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
get out and meet that person. Help support local.
Yes, help them. Otherwise, we can't give you these things. You know, you're a corporate for a long time, and I'm sure you could have stayed longer, right? But your idiom was to get out of that, you know, the box. And I'm confident there were people on the inside like, why would you do that? Why would you leave? Because we're we're so used to being, you know, in the confines of security, or we think it's secure. And in the end, it's not so secure. But since most people aren't willing to go to the farmer's market or travel out to Colorado to just breathe a little bit, you know, we stay right where we are. We spend our 68 to 75 years doing the same thing, repetitive over and over again, until we realize that, geez, I wasted my life doing nothing.
And what's crazy about it is, you know, you mentioned Colorado, but I drove by a sign the other day. Mm-hmm. You know, Cleveland Metro Parks are rated like one of the number one in the country.
They're gorgeous.
And we drive through. You know, people drive through them all the time, going to work. Yeah. And they don't think that, you know what? Stop,
get out.
Get out. Take a look around at what's like right here in front of you, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, but those are the parks. We don't want to go there. You know, bugs and, you know, black squirrels. We don't care about that. You know, nature. You know, yeah. So it'll still be a challenge to meet the many, because our leadership from on high do not articulate about health, wellness, nutrition. You know,
I do think, you know, that there's been, not naming anybody, but there's been some golden opportunities where the country's been focused all in one direction, and just to be able to me, it's a perfect opportunity of like, why don't we want to get America healthy? You know, as a people, why don't we want to challenge our people to get people healthy and
new
live
subject.
that lifestyle?
I like it. Yes. A week or two ago, red-haired, good-looking lady, not sure what her name is, there was a question posed to her about that. Other countries have these strong initiatives about health and wellness. Why aren't the American leadership doing that? And I'm sure she was caught off guard, but she defaulted to, we follow the advice of blah, 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 blah.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it was like, man, if you didn't just drop an anvil on your foot. We're not prepared at the highest level to, you know, help people at all.
No,
so
I mean,
it's rough.
I mean, you can even look at our educational system. You know, for most high school students, once you get past your freshman year, gym isn't even required.
Nope.
Okay, so we've taken the physical activity out of it, and it's just, if you don't start those habits at that age, that, you know, fitness and moving and all that stuff, they're not going to be 30, 40 years old. And
well, it keeps me in business, but, you know, so it's okay. Have that burger. It's such a conundrum. It's like, how do we do this? Yeah, you've got amazing pilot programs, but how do we, you know, mushroom cloud and make this panoramic so everybody's willing to do it? Not sure, because we see fitness and exercise as a punishment. It was, in our generation, it was, you're going to do push-ups as a punishment as opposed to an empowering thing. That's kind of, you know, reverberated over and over with people. You know, men go to jail, they get in great shape, but they didn't do that when they weren't in jail. So if we're not in a punitive situation, they wouldn't think so. Women come to me because they don't like the way their pants fit. They don't like the way their husband look. They don't like the fact that I don't look at you at all. So we're waiting until we're in a negative situation. I've had a heart attack. I've had a stroke. You know, there are a number of negatives. You know, all these yellow flags are going off, or lights are going off, before people are willing to do intelligent things. We see gymnasts, Simone Biles. She's owning up to stress. You know, I'm the best at this thing, and for a while they attacked her as if she didn't want to do it. It's like, my mind's not there. You know, my body's doing it, and I think we applaud more of them to stand up for that, because you've been a machine all this time. So if we can add that to the wellness arena of your mental, emotional health, you know, hopefully we'll get there. Maybe it'll take another 20 years, but hopefully the people that follow us, that'll check this video out 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, oh, wow, Andy knew what he was talking about. So cool, kinda, you know, so, so yeah.
So Jamie, for someone that's, maybe they're in the midst of a disease or they just got to a point where they were diagnosed with something, or even someone that's just really, at their wit's end with their health condition, I mean, where can they start?
I'll take from the example of, let's say we want to lose 50 pounds. 50. It's insurmountable. It's, the doctor says, hey, I need you to lose 50 pounds. The problem is there's no, script for 50 pounds. There's not. You can go to Bahamas and pay somebody to cut it out and you're going to be a mess. But in truth, in the example we're going to make here, I'll start anybody that comes here with, I need you to lose 5 pounds. We'll help you lose 5 pounds. We can't get to 50 if we can't 5. So incrementally, back to our corporate lives that we try to run from, but that mindset will never go away. That if we cut that whale into pieces, this, that, the other thing. So starting simple, very challenging. One, again, we'll go back to our earlier conversation, is you got to accept where you are. It's, the 12-step kind of situation. You got to accept where you are and be willing and open to something else. The challenge is we've got Instagram, we've got, TikTok or wherever there's this super cute 25-year-old girl making fitness videos. We were talking about it earlier. And that is going to be proliferated to you. Hey, do this. I can't squat the way I did a long time ago, so I'm wearing knee braces. I squat now, my knees sound like popcorn popping. It's real. But to have an individual begin, we have to be very rudimentary. Let's maybe look at what you're doing and how do we transpose that then to take everything away. Because if we strip everything away, it's going to be a calamity for you. It's going to be horrific. No different, again, we'll use it like a drug addict. We're not just taking you off of heroin. We're going to, wean you back to the point where you can live sustainably without these toxins in your life. And then we're going to start to propel you forward in a different direction. So same conceptually, we're going to start at 50 pounds. You want to lose 50 in a year? Great. That's enough time to do it. Let's lose 1 pound. Let's lose 2 pounds. Let's lose 4 pounds. You've lost 10 pounds. You're feeling good about it. Now you're, actioning. You're excited. You're stimulated. The trick for the human, you and I, is our surrounding. Because our friends, families, and loved ones will toxify everything for you. You're doing great. You're down. You're moving. You're showing up for class all the time. You're at Target buying new yoga pants, but your sister comes by and, hey, let's go have drinks. I think that the individual wants to say no, but I love my sister, right? I'm going to go out and I'm just going to have one. When that one margarita's got 1,200 calories and you just blew your day. And then depending on how that individual, and we're building a fictitious scenario, has re-willed themselves, they'll break, or they will that's an outlier. Corporate term, that becomes an outlier in my life. Okay, I had a one bad day and I'm going to get back on my horse and keep, riding forward. But for the emotionally weak, and self-esteem fragile, it's going to be really hard for them to keep going because I just failed myself. I just gave up on myself. So I didn't know that the job was more Dr. Phil than Shaun T. I had no idea that it was psychology over physiology. I had no idea, man. I was like, people come to places like this broken, just like train wrecked, and looking for, if they're open to it, improving and assuming that we have the answers. The answers are already up in here somewhere. It's just that willing to take a new path, go down new, make a right into a different, subdivision and see something that you're not used to seeing. But we're really hardwired to our phones, right? It's right there. So I'm used to having my my security blanket so close to me that I'm not willing to change, and it's super hard. So to answer that question, it is hopefully empowering people to make very simple, almost kid-like changes. Let's look at where we are. Let's consider where you want to go. Not let's throw away everything in life and let's all go buy $1 million house in a Bentley. Well, you can't do that if you make $40,000 a year. It doesn't make any sense. But if in fact we just, inch by inch, segment by segment, we can grow, we can go. And that's kind of how I keep it basic. I'm a Six Sigma black belt. So I thought I was gonna, and that just means I know a bunch of corporate crap, but I thought I'd run as far away from it as I could. However, I'm using it because every person is a project, and you're the logistics guy, and the project's gonna creep, and the requirements will change, and life's gonna happen. It's gonna snow, and you're gonna miss class, and this or that. So I keep them as close to task as possible with respect to the success road being, colorful and winding. But the goal is still to see what's in front of you and why you want to do this. So it's hard at times. We lose people to emotional weakness. It just is. It's human. But the strong, and there are not enough of us, will fight a fight that gets them forward. So to go back to the whole, how do we start them? Basics. Super basic. Nothing provocative, nothing crazy, nothing powdered. Go have some chicken, or just something really simple. Go have a cry. Maybe whatever is going to get you to the point where you can dissolve the BS that's in front of you. Then we can start. So it's like I was just saying. I had no idea that I was more bartender than a barber. Man, I thought we're gonna get in here, we're gonna kick butt, but people are really broken till they get to the point where they need to help themselves and don't know how to do it. So, that's usually how I start. I'll ask a question. What do you want? What is it that you want? Because you're an adult now. Nobody cares what you want, so you got to pay your bills and go to work and put gas in the car. Nobody cares what you want, but that is hard sometimes to answer for myself. What is it I want? I don't know. I want to live in Boca Raton, but I don't know. What is it you want? So it's a tough thing. So that's how we get it.
Jamie, I just think it's been, awesome sitting here talking with you. I love how you're helping people empower themselves,
Thanks.
Through fitness. And like you just said, it's not always the physical part of it. No. It's the mental part of it that they have to overcome. And we hope that more people will start walking this path and realize the benefits.
Good deal.
I want to thank you.
Always. It's a pleasure, brother.
Sorry, Corey, I left the mics. Thank you so much for watching us on Inspired Path. If you've got an inspiring story or know somebody that's inspiring, hit us up in the comments below. And of course, give us a thumbs up if you like what you heard, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. Thank you.